Welcome back to my studio. Today we're going to paint this doll's eyes. This is how she looks when the eyes are all painted. And we're going to go ahead now and backtrack, and I'll show you how I did it. Okay, so I'm going to paint her eyes today. One of the things about painting eyes that's really important is that you have some good tiny brushes, and I have some that are smaller, that are new, that have a nice fine tip, and some are a little wider that I will use for picking up a larger amount of paint if I want it. And then I have some that I have actually groomed down to just 1 or 2 bristles, and I'll use that for really fine lines. And you can leave it long or you can shorten it, that's up to you. I typically use acrylic paint to paint the eyes. You can use Genesis or anything that you want. What I'm going to use is Folk Art multi-surface. This is licorice, and it has a natural shine to it. I usually use that for my pupils. I'm going to do a blue eye with a hint of gold. So I have Dutch blue. I have a lot of different kind of paint. Some are pretty old, but they still work. This is an off-white. And usually I just use a really thin wash of this because human eyes are not actually white. They usually either have a tiny bit of yellow tint to them or they have a tiny bit of blue. I have gold and I have a lighter shade of blue. And what I do normally, I start with my darker shade of blue. And I tend to use the cap and put the bottle out of the way because I'm bad about knocking them over. So what I'm going to do first is decide if she's going to be looking up, straight ahead, or to the side. And I think I'm going to, for this one, have her looking almost perfectly straight ahead. What I do is I put a coat of the darker blue, and I'm using magnification right now, more than I normally do, because you really want to make sure that you are seeing what you think you're seeing. So normally I use a 3 times magnification, and for this job I have I don't know if you can see that, it's 5 times. And that allows me to really get down in here visually. I'm going to try to not get so close that the camera can't focus on it. Here. Okay, and you want to go right up to the lid with that dark paint. You don't want to get it on the lid, obviously. And you want to try to go slowly, because you want it to be as round as you can. Now her eye is going to be slightly off center. She's not looking dead ahead. Alright, and this is a darker shade of the color that her eye is going to be. And we're starting with that, and this one again, slightly off center. It's not outrageously off center. She's not looking to the side fully, but she's not looking straight ahead either. So I want to be mindful of that as I go along here, that I'm not too off on her gaze, where she's looking. You want to imagine that she's looking at a point off in the distance, and you want to make sure that both eyes are looking in the same direction. So you want to back it away from you and look and make sure that when you turn the head, she's looking in the direction with both eyes that you want her to look. The outer corner of this eye is a little bit more than halfway across the eye, and this one is already there. So where I need to increase the eye on this side is down in this corner. Paint on the upper lid. It's not the end of the world. I will go back later when the paint is dry with an X-Acto blade like this, and I'll just and take that off. Okay, so I'm pretty content that her eyes are tracking in the same, pretty much the same direction. Get a little more. And all of this is before makeup goes on. And I do sometimes adjust the eyes even more if I need to for tracking purposes to make sure it's looking in the direction I want it to. And I'm using this cloth just because I don't want to accidentally get paint on the face that might be on my fingers and I don't know it's there. Okay, and that one is done and dry. Make sure we focus here. There we go. That one is done and dry, the dark blue. And next is this Caribbean blue, which has a nice shine to it, lightness, brightness. And what you're going to do, what I do, is I come in and I add a half moon shape to the bottom of the eye without totally covering the exterior circle. The outer circle is now the liner, and it accents the outer edge. Okay, and I don't go all the way up to the lid. Our eyes have a natural shadow on the upper part, so it doesn't hurt to leave it up there. And next is the gold. You can use copper, you can use silver, any kind of metallic paint even. You can use a darker shade of, or a lighter shade of this blue even. And I usually just put a little hint of gold on one side and an even smaller hint on the opposite side, because it catches the light when you move the doll around. Once you glaze it, gloss or whatever it is you're going to use to put your dome on, it'll have more shine to it then also. But this adds that extra wow factor that lights up when you take photographs. So you want to pick up a decent amount of paint when you come in to do the pupil, and note where the pupil on the other one is and try to track the same. So it's slightly higher but not touching the top of the eyelid. So I'm gonna put that in there. And again, you want to look and see if both eyes are looking in the same direction. It is slightly up and slightly to one side. Have her look at you and see if if both eyes are looking at you in the same direction. And she does appear to be doing that. Okay. And you can, if you want to, go back with your little one-haired brush and take your darker color, and you can add some little tiny hash marks on the blue. Keep them tiny. Don't do too many. You're not, just put one or two here and there. And it pays to let each layer of paint dry. It really does. Because if you're not careful, you end up dragging that black paint all over the eye. And then you mess up all that work you just did. That is how I paint the eyes. Makeup is another story. But you, as I said, you make a larger circle, the shape of your iris, in a dark color. Come back in with a half moon shaped lighter circle on the inside of that line, and then you can highlight with some sort of a metallic color, and the pupil is then added in. And you want to make sure that whatever you do, you make those eyes track in the same direction. Whatever direction the one eye is looking in, that is the same direction the other one should be looking in. It's the first thing people notice when they look at the doll, is one wonky eye. So that's it for my eye tutorial for now. I will do one on makeup, blushing, and all of that. Have fun.